actually they are declining because they got no more manufacture. If you were to go to New York today, their airport, their metro system, and their rail system, they are even now worse than the newly developing country, which had infrastructure assets built by China. I'm very pleased that the China Academy had invited me for this interview. So I'm very pleased to get to meet you all online. Thank you very much. I'm very, very impressed with China's poverty eradication because to me, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which number 17, cannot be achieved unless you can first eliminate poverty, because poverty is something that actually make the people of a developing country, a poor country, just want to keep body and soul together, keep themselves, So I always advocate that the first priority of developing country is to eradicate poverty. And of course, eradicating poverty is the first sustainable development goals. In China, by 2021, China has lifted 800 million of her people out of absolute poverty. But it's not only lifting the 800 million people out of absolute poverty, but also making them part of your 小康之家. That means what you call in English of the family or community of shared moderate prosperity. And so this is unprecedented in human history. So I'm very much trying to get developing countries to come to see China's poverty eradication success, and so that they can go back to their own country's villages to actually do something like what China has done. Because in Malaysia, for example, my country, the villagers are very poor and very aged, very old, because the young people have all gone to the city, because there was no work for them in the villages. Whereas I have visited villages in China, and I see now the young people are going back to the villages, and they are now going back to the villages, taking with them the scientific and technological engineering skills that they acquire in universities and in jobs in the cities, to try to modernize. For example, the agriculture is now more scientific. And then, of course, they use their skills with the internet, so that they have small enterprises that promote the products of the villagers here, and then brand them, and through the internet sell it to towns and cities, not only in China, but also overseas, you see. But to me as an engineer, I have always said that the foundation of China's poverty eradication program is because China had most comprehensive infrastructure, both physical and virtual. You can see the highways going everywhere, to the roads going to the most remote villages, and also the high-speed train network is the most extensive in the world. Of course, in China's 5G internet, it's also the best in the world. And with this, then the commerce from the villages can reach to cities and also to towns in not only in China, but actually throughout the world. So I said that the Chinese village, through China's poverty eradication program, has become part of the global supply chain. And China has been using the Belt and Road Initiative as a platform of President Xi Jinping's global development initiative. And as you know, the Belt and Road projects, they are everywhere. In the developing world, especially in Malaysia, the Chinese companies, construction companies are building bridges, building highways, building skyscrapers, and also building railway and ports. And this is the same in most other countries. But to me, the success of the Belt and Road Initiative is exemplified by the China-Euro, the freight train. I just heard yesterday that it had exceeded 10,000 trips, and it is, I think, it's only about 12 years since it started. And this is one example of the success of the Belt and Road Initiative, because it has replaced camels by trains. And we in Malaysia always say that, in Malaysian history, we have been colonized by, Portugal, by Holland, by England, and then by Japan. But the first one that reached Malaysia from overseas is Zheng He, and he never take 1 square inch of our territory. China actually had a longer history of scientific and technological discoveries and invention than the West, because the West actually, their what you call industrial revolution only started in the 17th century. But the thing is that China's scientific and technological invention actually were used to better the life of ordinary people in China. But the West, once they invented the steam engine, they put the steam engine not only to drive trains, not only to drive their textile mills and all that, but also put them in gunboats. And with the gunboats, they go and conquer everywhere. And what they do, then they grow rich by getting the resources from the developing country. Not only material resources, like minerals, but also people. You know about the slave trade that actually make America rich from Africa, the slave thing. But also a lot of Asian countries also, like from China, from India. So it is an entirely different philosophy. That one for China is that we don't really care very much about conquering the rest. We want to actually care about our own people, make them a bit more prosperous, and then after that, then can share the prosperity with other countries. Whereas the West, even today, is still trying to colonize the developing world. But now, of course, not by military force or occupation, but by financial dominance. It's still going on, especially in America. They become the most dominant country, but then they insist on that other country must share their own value system. But when you are wanting to share the American value system, you need to be subservient to them. And that is now the problem between whether America and China and Russia and like with the Palestine, is that they do not want to lose their number one position as the number one country in the world. But actually, they are declining because they got no more manufacture. If you were to go to New York today, their airport, their metro system, and their rail system, they are even now worse than the newly developing country, which had infrastructure assets built by China. And why is this? Because they are not prepared to say that let Chinese or other countries' contractors to come to build those infrastructure in America, and they themselves has got no capacity to do so. So in the end, nothing get done. Their infrastructure get worse and worse, and of course their economy now is not based on hard assets, it's on paper, whether it's American dollar in paper or stock certificate in paper. And that is not a real economy. Like for example, a company's stock price overnight can drop 10-15% one. So I think that America must realize that if they want to arrest their decline, they must actually work with other countries, especially China. Of course, America in the intellectual part, in universities, there are a lot of very good, talented professors and researchers built up over the last century, you see. So we can still learn a lot from America, but America must adopt the same openness like what China has opened up. Like now, you see, I come to China from Malaysia without having to apply for a visa. So China is opening up, whereas America is shutting themselves up, you see. So I think this is the conflict that actually we need to solve by getting more American, especially young American, to come and visit China and see for themselves what is China, rather than hearing from their politician or their newspaper as if China is still very backward and China is still stealing their intellectual property rights in the train development and other high-speed train development and other infrastructure development.